Oh, hi there. For today's discussion, please make sure you are up through part one of Malinda Lo's Ash. Let me start with a question for everyone. In our last class, I said that fairy tales distilled story down to its elements, which is one reason that they are so attractive to writers who can use those elements and transform them and adapt them. So, pick any one element of Jacob and Wilhelm Grimm's Cinderella. How has Malinda Lo changed that element in Ash? And why? That is, how does her change also change the meaning? That was a question for everybody, but it will have to be posted in your separate group. So as you hit pause to write the answer to that question, I know you'll be doing it in your separate group. It is, alas, a peculiarity of Canvas that we cannot both have a conversation out in one large group and then again in smaller groups. I do not know why. At any rate, groups 1 and 2 will answer this question, or really a version of this question. It is slightly different for each group. You'll notice the slight difference when it happens. Ash, the character, loves her book of fairy tales and loves fairy tales more generally. The novel, Ash, itself a rewriting of a fairy tale, also gives us at least a half dozen other fairy tales. In the first half of the novel alone, in part 1, which you read for today, there's The Farmer and the Hunt from pages 26 to 29. There's Eyeless and the Changeling from 50 to 56, and that's referenced again on page 153, which I know you haven't got to yet. There's the story of Kathleen, the baker's son, and the fairy prince. There's Sideen's story of the rider in the fairy hunt who promises to guide a girl to her late parents. There's the story of Lysara. So, my question, you were wondering when I'd get to a question, weren't you? My question is, what themes of the main story do these secondary stories emphasize? In other words, why include these specific stories? There are many, many stories to choose from. And out of these many, she has chosen just a few. Why? Group 1, in your response, address the story of Kathleen, Baker's son, and Fairy Prince, which is on pages 76 to 77, because in the first half of the novel, that is Ash's favorite, and she also refers to it again in the second half. Group 2, address Eyeless and the Changeling, because it also appears twice in the novel. It repeats again on pages 153 to 154, which again, second half of book, no need to refer to it now. As you ponder how these two stories interact with the main one, you might consider Sidane's comment on the very last page of part 1. He tells Ash, quote, "Your tales do not tell the whole story." So what's left out? What's left out that, say, you might expect to be addressed in part 2? Group 3. In the first half of the novel, our main character, Ash, goes from being the daughter of a middle-class merchant to a servant. So how does her sudden shift in class status alter her sense of self? I realize that has less prologue than the other group's question, but it's no less substantive. Okay, those are our questions for today. For next time, we will talk about the entire novel. So please finish the entire novel. Thanks. I will talk to you then.